Hey guys, it's Thunder here, and welcome to another episode of the Need for Speed Most Wanted Mod Showcase. So, of course, just as I introduced in the last part, we're going to be doing a bit of a wheel decide to figure out what cars we're going to be using for each particular episode. Now, of course, I got all the current requested mods that have not yet been seen on video, so we're going to give the wheel 3 spins, and we're going to see which ones we get. So, let's click it to get our first selection. It's going to be the Volkswagen W12, which was requested by KBoy71. So we're going to have the W12. Joining the W12 will be the Opel Manta GTE, requested by Mueller-Milch245. And finally, we're also going to be having the Pontiac Trans Am WS6 Ram Air, requested by DSpeed427. So there we go, guys. That's going to be this particular episode. We will have, of course, it's kind of interesting. It's got a bit of an interesting order to it, but hey, how about that? So of course, as mentioned, the order will be the Volkswagen W12, followed by the Opel Manta, and then finally the Pontiac Trans Am. So let's get to it then. And now we're here into the game with the car mods, of course. First up, of course, through the speed for the wheel to side was the Volkswagen W12. I guess this is more specifically the W12 Synchro, according to the back of the car, requested by KBoy71. This replaces the Aston Martin DB9, which is a bit of an odd choice. I don't really agree with that, replacing the DB9, but what can you do, I suppose. Visually, what we can do is not very much, though there is a body kit which turns it into the W12 Roadster, which is kind of cool. So yeah, you can have like a Roadster variant. We're gonna leave it as the coupe because I just tend to prefer coupes a little bit more, anyways. Of course, you can always change the wheels, and that's about it for that one. Visual-wise, we can of course give it a paint. We're gonna give it, of course, the orange paint to make it more like the W12 Nardo, and then we'll just lower the window tint a little bit. And there we go. We at least have something a little bit closer to the actual like W12 Nardo. So yeah, it's an older mod. I think this is from around 2009, 2010. It's not particularly anything mind blowing, but it actually does look fairly nice. And it was kind of neat to see someone actually make like a W12 mod into the actual game. So I can't really fault it for that. So, but anyways, W12 Nardo, we're going to take it around. We're going to see just exactly what kind of time we get, which means we take it over to the Petersburg test track, where we're going to give it 4 laps to just get as fast of a time as we possibly can. It used to be 6 laps. We do 4 because now that I do 3 cars in one video, it kind of helps me just get through them faster and everything, and it's more focused on how the cars actually drive and everything and whatnot. So W12. Now, one thing I was initially worrying about was in the mod itself, it mentions performance-wise, it's about the same as the Aston Martin DB9. It looks like that's the case for the actual speed-wise, but when it comes to the handling, it seems to have a massive handling increase compared to the DB9, which means this is actually going to be a fairly quick car around here, because it can easily, of course, get up to speed like that and be able to power its way through those corners. In fact, there's even so much grip that I took that corner a little bit earlier than I was originally going to, but hey, that's kind of a good thing then, because that just means that we now I know I'm using nitrous, but it's first lap, so it usually wouldn't matter anyways. But yeah, this thing's got good grips to it, which means we're going to be able to take this car around the track at a good sense of speed, which means it'll probably get a nice position on the leaderboard. Also kind of stable too. I mean, it's not excuse me. Man, did I suddenly pause. Yeah, this car, it doesn't want to slide out at all, really, at any point. It's just, it's consistent with getting its grip around, and it's just got all the traction you would need. And so yeah, it's driving generally very nicely. This is a very nice go with this car, so I'm definitely okay with that. The W12 does have its own like executable for an installer, but really all it does is it just extracts all the files from it, so that's really all the executable does. So you just do a whole copy-paste thing and whatnot. Oh, that was a little bit crazy, but hey, that's something. And 53.06, this synchro, this W12 is already faster than the M3 GTR, which pretty much means, I think because of that, that probably knocks the M3 out of the top 10, I think, or either that or it puts it into 10th place. I cannot remember. But with that, that pretty much means that the top 10 now entirely consists of mods. The top 10 fastest cars around here so far for the mod showcase have been nothing but mod cars, which is really cool. It's kind of nice to see that. Of course, we do have another couple laps, but this thing is generally a really nice car. It's got lots of grip, and it's still quite speedy. So hey, there's nothing at fault here. There's not too much really at fault here with the W12, apart from the fact that it still sounds like a DB9. But of course, replacing the engine sounds in this game isn't exactly the easiest thing to do in the world. So there we go. Even managed to get it under 53 seconds now with a 52.77. I don't think the lap time is going to beat it because of what happened at the beginning there, but you get the idea. This thing is pretty much capable of 52-second lap times, so it still provides, you know, a good general consensus and example of just exactly what this car can do. But I'm really liking the way this car is doing. It's very nice, and I'm very happy to be driving it because it's just doing what I wanted to do. Also, I believe I have tried to up the quality back up. Whoops. I've tried to up the quality back up after accidentally leaving it to 3500 in the last video, so this should look back to normal. And actually, my future videos may even start to look better. I don't know yet for sure, but that'll have to happen in the future possibly. If that actually does happen. Oh, I didn't even realize there's a female passenger in there, but it doesn't look like she has any hands. That's a bit creepy. But yeah, it's a pretty. Oh, it's 52.78 listed there, but no, it said 52.77 when we crossed over, so that's what we're going for with this car, regardless of what that says. Okay, that's a bit strange. But anyways, that's a pretty good run for the W12. With a pretty good time there. So next up, of course, is the Opel Manta GTE. Apparently, it's a 1982 Opel Manta requested by Mueller Milch, who's probably looking for a bit of retribution after his first suggestion, the Nissan 300ZX, spent many episodes in the bottom of the field, which only just got replaced with the 2013 SRT Viper, which still annoys me that a Viper is at the bottom of the list. So, and visually, we really can't do much with this car at all. We can at least paint it though, and actually, this yellow looks really nice with it. I'm gonna go with that. I actually really like that. Can't put any vinyls on it either. And this thing is really ridiculously big for large. It looks a little too large for a mod, but hey, what can you do, I suppose. The Manta, by the way, if I haven't said it already, it replaces the Lexus IS300. So I think it's the first IS300 replacement. Although then again, I believe the W12 was also the first Aston Martin DB9 replacement. I can't remember anymore. But let's just go ahead with the Manta here and just get a kind of idea of what we can expect. So it looks like the Manta actually does have a different engine note compared to its replacement because the IS300 does not use the engine note from like the Lotus Elise. It's generally quick, and it's got an interesting handling attribute to it. It's not insanely grippy, but but it doesn't feel like it's really bad either. In fact, there's this sudden first wave where as soon as you take it steering, there's a sudden rush of grip, and then it just kind of settles after that. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing going on with that, but hey, I don't mind it. I really don't. So I do not, oh wow. This looks like it's only got 5 gears because we're kind of coasting at 195 miles an hour there. So we may potentially have maybe like a mid-card leader or mid leaderboard car here potentially with this, because it looks like all it can do is about 195, and that was pretty poor there. But yeah, this is an improvement over Mueller's first suggestion, which was that 300ZX, which sat at the bottom, which I guess also annoys me like the Viper. Why is the 300ZX sitting all the way down there? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But you know, we're gonna give whatever shot we can to at least try to get a good lap time, or that's at least possible with the Manta here. So So yeah, my only issue with this Manta mod is just too big. It's too overly large. It's kind of like makes it like I think the modder could have shrunk the size down of it a little bit, and then it would have been a little more accurate. Nah, that wasn't very good. Again, very odd handling characteristics particularly with the Manta here. So at least with that out of the way, that may actually help a little bit too. Ugh, excuse me. Man, this thing is just. That's all. Yeah, that was only a 1029, but we had various problems with it. So that will more than likely, if I have a proper no screw up lap, this will definitely do under a minute. So hey, Miller, at least you got me a better car. Man, this I don't know. It's kind of disappointing this thing can only do about 195. But it's like, why do people keep making the top speed of some of these cars lower than most of the other cars in a game like this? I mean, and especially for those who try to make the cars drive like realistically with their performance, that's just like that would work if it was like an actual proper sim game. But this is Need for Speed. It just doesn't work with this game. You shouldn't be doing that because it'll make it seem way off balance, and it's just no, stop it, please. It's just I just don't understand why that's generally a thing done personally, but that's just what. Okay. Apparently this Manta is a bit acrobatic. It's interesting to say the least. I don't know what that was about. But that was something I forgot to turn off the Skype notifications. Apologize if you're hearing that right now. But, you know, I'll make sure the next time I turn that off. There's things I gotta remember to do. And I'm also starting to see why I usually just left it at 30 frames, because my computer's not the best when recording this with OBS. It doesn't have it's not smooth as butter with the frame rate. I could still try mirrorless action and under AVI recording and see how that does, but that'll have to be for another time. And well, if that my testing of that would have to be with just an off-screen thing first. Yeah, I also have mirrorless, although I tend to use OBS. I also have mirrorless action because it was free at one time. So yeah, 59.83. It's the low top speed of the car is why it couldn't really do any faster. And the not as sharp handling, and then of course the acrobatic thing or whatever kind of prevented me from really being able to do any better. But hey, at least Mueller did suggest a car that did crack under 1 minute, so it is an improvement. Now, finally, of course, we have the Pontiac Trans Am Ram Air W6 requested by D-Speed, and this is definitely visually the best of the bunch because it actually has all 4 different choices of body kits, including this like more raced out one, which is kind of nice. But I'm gonna actually go with the third one here because it adds like a bit of a lip to it, and it makes it like a nice carbon fiber. I like the way it looks, so we're gonna go with that. This can also have spoilers on it, but I'm going to keep the main spoiler on it because I like that. And it can also have some hoods, including this, like a drag one, and this interesting see-through hood design, which is kind of cool. I like that quite a bit. In fact, I'm going to go with that because it's a bit more unique. You don't really see these with these other mods. Roof scoops are like the only thing it cannot take, which is fine because I don't like those anyways. So, paint-wise, we're going to go with a nice bright white because I think a Trans Am / Firebird would look really good with that. This doesn't have any kind of unique things going on here. It can just take, of course, the obvious vinyls. So let's see what we can apply. I'm gonna have to actually first do that because otherwise I can't see. What's available? Maybe if I repaint this, maybe this one would be better. Oh yeah. That's actually nice. Let's put a blue with that one. Oh yeah, that's all right. It's nothing too major, but I like it. And I guess to give it the match for the blue, we'll give it some. It's interesting. I guess there's a little bit of a weird thing with this. It kind of makes the top a little bit bluish too, or basically depends on the color. But hey, I guess that's what you get, suppose. But yeah, it generally does. It's an interesting visual stuff that we can do for this, so should be interesting. And of course, the one thing that will be very interesting is if it can if it can beat the car mod that this Firebird replaces, which is the Vauxhall Monaro VXR. So I guess this whole episode has just been a whole bunch of new first-time car replaces ones, I think, because that's, as far as I know, I don't think anything's replaced any of the three we've seen. But will the Firebird be an improvement to the Monaro? Well, it looks like when it comes to the speed, it looks like it's about the same. Handling-wise, this is a bit interesting. It feels heavy, is the word to put it. It's got a bit of heavy. It's a bit heavy when it comes to the handling. So, but it's not bad. I'd say I probably like it a little bit more than the Monaro. So, now I generally wasn't expecting the Trans Am was gonna do very hot. So it seems, and it looks like it's generally doing all right, but you know, it's not gonna be mind blowing. In fact, I'm wondering if this Firebird's probably going to be duking it out with the Manta for which of the two can get a better lap time. I was kind of hoping I'd get another better lap time with that Manta, but then an acrobatic show suddenly happened out of nowhere, so before I could even decide to do that, it decided to just pull that on me, which was very weird. But yeah, I think the issue with the Firebird is it's just not fast enough. The Manta was even faster than this on the top end, so... But the Firebird does handle all right. It's heavy and it's not the most grippy, but it's generally fine. It's an interesting way for this It's an interesting attempt at putting this kind of handling on a car, but you know, it at least makes it what it is. So, and plus, this is a fantastic looking mod too. I believe this Trans Am comes from Forza Motorsport 4. Which is a game I've been playing a lot as of late. It's one of the reasons I want to get a 360, because I never got to play Forza 4, because that came out 2 years after I already never stopped having a 360 because of I had one during the infamous Red Ring of Death era. If only I waited about a year later and they had those Jasper boards, I could have had an original 360 that would have likely lasted, because the Jasper boards seemed to, from what I understand, seem to be pretty well when it comes to reliability. Like They seem to just be built a lot better than earlier 360s. I had the board just before the Jasper because I got mine in Christmas 2007, which came with Forza 2 and some other game. I can't remember what the other game was now. I think it was Marvel Ultimate Alliance, if I were to guess. Yeah, that was it. Actually, that was the one that came with. So yeah, it was that game and Forza 2. Didn't really play the Marvel game because I didn't really particularly care for it, but I played Forza 2 a lot and that's really what got me into Forza in a nutshell, although I had already played Forza 1 at that point because I had my original Xbox, so I had the chance to actually play Forza 1 in 2005, mind you, so when it was still generally very new. Never had Xbox Live, though, because I was just too young and we didn't really have the kind of hardware back in the day. Would have been interesting if I had played during the original Xbox Live days. Things would have been pretty something. Yeah, well, okay, well, it looks like we've only got one more lap to try to get under 1 minute here with this Firebird. It looks like the Firebird may be the slowest of the bunch. I keep calling it Firebird even though it's technically a Trans Am. They're really, technically, to me, just kind of like the same thing. It's just kind of natural instinct, because I always look at this particular generation of car and think, yep, that's a Firebird. If I were to look at some of the older ones, that would probably make me more inclined to say, yep, that's a Trans Am. It's just when I look at this later one, it's always the first thing that always pops in my head is Firebird, Firebird, Firebird. I mean, they technically are like the same kind of car, so can you really blame me for that one? But yeah, it's just the speed of the car that really brings the Firebird down. It's just, I don't recall ever getting 200 with this car. This car can do 200. I know it can, but it just doesn't get there fast enough on a track like this to actually be able to hit 200. So, yeah. The Firebird or Trans Am is the slowest of the bunch with a 1 minute .36. So, a bit more of a slower episode with two cars further down the leaderboard, but we did have a car that did crack the top 10, which is nice. Okay, now to the leaderboard, and of course the big winner of the three by far was the Volkswagen W12, doing a 52.77 second lap time, putting it, of course, into 8th place on the leaderboard. I was incorrect with saying the BMW M3 GTR would have been knocked out of the top 10 because it's actually still 9th, but it does further down. That's 8 cars to go faster than the fastest stock, well, quote-unquote, stock car in the game. That, of course, now leads to the next two cars, which are much further down. The Opel Manta GTE doing 50th place with a 59.83 second lap time, and the Pontiac Trans Am WS6 Ram Air getting 54th with a 1 minute .36. So it's the fastest of the cars to not be able to crack a minute, which is a bit strange saying it so. Yeah. Anyways, that ends this episode. In the next episode, we'll have 3 more cars that the wheel decide will choose for me to drive around, see how good they do, and it's going to be all happy fun times, hopefully. Anyways, if you have a car suggestion, please feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Make sure you put at least one in, because I want to, and then once yours goes up, then you can suggest another one. Follow on Twitter for best updates, donate to Patreon if you wish to, not going to force you, and as always, thank you for watching, and take care.